Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The world's longest undefended border, once a symbol of peace, is now the front line of an economic war. On November 22, 2025, the US and Canada are locked in a bitter tariff showdown, threatening their deeply integrated trade relationship. $22 billion in new American tariffs have hit both US consumers and Canadian producers, with Canada retaliating in kind. Former President Trump's outrage has turned a trade dispute into a global political drama, watched by allies and adversaries alike. From Alberta's oil fields to Midwest factories, families and businesses face rising costs and uncertainty. As we explore this crisis, we'll uncover its roots, the key players, and ask, can this historic partnership survive, or is North America headed for a permanent split? To understand today's crisis, we must revisit the long, often turbulent history of US-Canada trade. The USMCA, signed in 2020 to replace NAFTA, aimed to modernize trade and calm tensions, but old disputes over lumber, dairy and metals never fully disappeared. US leaders, under pressure to protect domestic jobs, and Canadians, determined to defend access to the American market, have clashed repeatedly. Past trade battles were usually sector-specific and contained, but the current conflict is broader, targeting the vital energy sector. The normalization of tariffs as a political tool, especially during the Trump years, set the stage for today's escalation. This isn't an isolated incident. It's the result of years of shifting attitudes and unresolved grievances. Now, a historic alliance stands at a dangerous crossroads. In February 2025, the Trump administration stunned global markets by announcing a sweeping 10% tariff on all Canadian energy imports, a move that sent shockwaves through the international community and immediately dominated headlines. The decision shattered North America's long-standing trade peace, threatening the stability of one of the world's most integrated economic relationships. Canada, the United States' largest and most reliable energy supplier, exports nearly 4 million barrels of oil every single day, making this tariff a direct hit to both economies and putting thousands of jobs at risk on both sides of the border. The Trump administration claimed the move would protect US producers from foreign competition and boost domestic energy independence, but experts quickly warned it would raise costs for American consumers, destabilize energy markets, and potentially trigger a chain reaction of retaliatory measures. Goldman Sachs predicted the tariffs would cost US households an average of $170 more per year in higher energy bills, straining family budgets nationwide. Meanwhile, Canadian oil profits were expected to be slashed by $7 billion, threatening the stability of the country's vital energy sector and putting pressure on government revenues. Despite mounting warnings from economists and industry leaders, the tariffs were imposed, sparking outrage and protests in Ottawa and across Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau condemned the move in the strongest terms, calling it an attack on Canadian workers and promising swift and decisive retaliation. The stage was set for a full-blown trade war, with both sides bracing for economic pain and uncertainty as tensions escalated. The once fragile partnership between the two nations was now in open conflict, with the future of North American trade hanging in the balance. Canada struck back in May 2025, unveiling retaliatory tariffs on a carefully chosen list of American goods. The targets were strategic: agricultural products from key US states and manufactured goods from politically sensitive regions. The goal: maximize political pressure in Washington while signaling Canada's resolve. Canadian business leaders and unions largely supported the move despite the risks. Social media campaigns urged Canadians to buy local and boycott US products. The dispute had escalated from a policy disagreement to a national standoff, with both economies now at risk. The world watched as North America's closest partners became fierce rivals. The economic fallout was immediate. US drivers saw gas prices jump by up to 25 cents per gallon, while inflation squeezed household budgets. In Alberta, Canadian oil producers slashed prices and delayed projects, threatening jobs and provincial revenues. American farmers lost access to their top export market, leading to cancelled orders and falling prices at home. Small businesses on both sides struggled as supply chains broke down and costs soared. The deep integration of the US and Canadian economies meant that tariffs disrupted countless industries, from manufacturing to logistics. Investor confidence wavered, and the risk of a prolonged slowdown loomed. The message was clear: in a trade war between such close partners, everyone loses. The pain was widespread, and the end was nowhere in sight. The human cost of the tariff war is felt in every corner of both countries. It's not just a matter of economics or policy, it's a daily reality for millions of people whose lives are suddenly filled with uncertainty and anxiety. In Washington state, a family orchard faces ruin as Canadian buyers cancel apple orders, threatening generations of work. The orchard, once a symbol of hope and prosperity, now stands as a reminder of how quickly fortunes can change when international relations sour. In Toronto, a family of 4 cuts back on groceries as prices for US goods soar, feeling the squeeze of Canada's retaliation. Parents are forced to make difficult choices at the checkout, stretching every dollar and worrying about what the next week will bring. In Fort McMurray, Alberta, oil workers fear layoffs as the industry contracts, putting entire communities at risk. The uncertainty ripples through local businesses, schools, and families, leaving everyone on edge about what the future holds. In Buffalo, New York, a logistics company owner faces delays, lost business, and staff cutbacks as cross-border trade slows. The ripple effect is felt by truck drivers, warehouse workers, and their families, all wondering how long they can hold on. These stories reveal the real impact: jobs lost, businesses threatened, and families forced to make tough choices. The effects are visible on main streets and in homes, where uncertainty has become the new normal. The tariff war isn't just about numbers, it's about livelihoods. It's about the dignity of work, the security of a paycheck, and the dreams that families have built over years, now put at risk. Across North America, ordinary people are paying the price for political brinkmanship. Their voices, often unheard in the halls of power, echo with frustration and fear as they navigate an uncertain future. The longer the conflict drags on, the deeper the scars will run. Communities may never fully recover, and the memories of these hardships will linger for years to come. The stakes are personal, and the consequences are growing. For every statistic, there's a story, a family, a worker, a community, struggling to adapt and hoping for relief. Economists across the board agree the US energy tariff is a lose-lose proposition, with negative consequences that ripple far beyond the intended targets. Leading experts emphasize that such measures rarely achieve their policy goals and often backfire, hurting both economies involved. US refineries are deeply reliant on Canadian crude oil, and switching to alternative sources is not only costly but also logistically challenging and inefficient. This dependency means that any disruption in the supply chain can have immediate and widespread effects on production and prices. Petroleum analyst Patrick DeHaan warns that the tariff acts as a direct tax on American drivers, leading to higher prices at the pump. He stresses that this is not just a penalty for Canada, but a burden that falls squarely on US consumers and families. Commodity expert Rory Johnston points out that both Canadian producers and US refiners share the financial pain, undermining claims that only Canada suffers. The interconnected nature of the energy market means losses are felt on both sides of the border. The conflict also undermines the USMCA, bypassing its established dispute mechanisms and eroding the trust that is essential for cross-border cooperation and economic stability. Trade experts warn that tit-for-tat tariffs risk triggering a downward spiral of protectionism, making North America less competitive on the global stage and threatening jobs and growth in both countries. The strategic logic of the policy is widely questioned, with both sides suffering significant harm and no clear path to resolution in sight. The expert consensus is clear. This trade war is a costly mistake for both nations, with long-term consequences that could take years to fully repair. Former President Trump's furious response has turned the trade dispute into political spectacle. By framing Canada's retaliation as betrayal, he rallies his base and shifts blame for rising prices onto Ottawa. This us versus them narrative distracts from the real economic costs and intensifies pressure on Canadian negotiators. The unpredictable rhetoric creates instability, making compromise harder and hardening national pride on both sides. Globally, the message is clear. America first means no ally is exempt from tough tactics. But this approach damages America's reputation as a reliable partner, pushing other countries to diversify away from the US. The political theater may win headlines, but it risks long-term strategic losses. As November ends, the US and Canada face a pivotal choice. One path is de-escalation, negotiations, concessions, and a return to trust under the USMCA. The other is continued escalation, with more tariffs, deeper economic pain, and lasting diplomatic damage. Political courage is needed on both sides to step back from the brink. The personal dynamics between leaders will be crucial. Quiet diplomacy offers the best hope. The future of North America hangs in the balance, shared prosperity or rivalry and division. Their economies are intertwined. Neither can truly win at the other's expense. The world is watching to see if these old allies can rediscover common ground. The outcome of this $22 billion tariff war will define the next era of US-Canada relations.